Good evening, folks. This is Marxist, and welcome to Team Fortress TV. We're going to be bringing back the ESEA. It seems like we finished playing just a little bit ago, but we're already back again. Going to be bringing you Woodpig versus the Street Hoops, and I'm joined by a return caster back from in his time machine, is Flame. How you doing, Flame?
I'm pretty good. Looking forward to this. I haven't played enough TF2 in a while to know what's about to happen, but I'm pretty excited to do this again. I haven't casted probably since season 6 or 7, so it should be interesting.
Yeah, it's, things are a little bit different. We got, basically I'll give you the rundown. I'm not going to really try to go over the rosters in a super strict way, mainly because we've got Woodpig here, and Woodpig likes to alias a lot, and, I just didn't feel particularly inclined to sort out who most of them were, in fact, but I can give you a basic idea. Meb is going to be scouting, probably got Arctic Joe there on scout as well, really pretty good player. We got someone purporting to be Rick, I think, maybe, possibly. Got Mason on Woodpig, and then I assume probably Dingo or somebody like that on Demo Man. So you probably know Mason, I assume.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm
really excited to see Sizer play this game, actually, because I know he hasn't been active as much as everyone's been, and I'm pretty sure there's been a lot of roster changes on this Woodpig roster, as well as the Street Hoops roster, so this might be one of those games that nobody really sees as important, just because I guess it's early in the season, but when it comes down to it, these are like the matches that if you're a team that's not expected to do well, you really have to do well in these because you're not going to get many second chances,
Yeah, but I don't know. Woodpig's made some changes. I see Mangachu there as well. I heard that story. But, so last season they had like flashes of being really good, and they gave some teams that they shouldn't have pretty solid matches or even beat them in some cases. So I don't know. I think they've got it in them to be pretty decent, so they could be a competitor for that lower tier of land spots, possibly. And then we got Street Hoops. They've made some changes as well. Sizer joining the roster and making his triumphant return to Invite, so pretty excited about that as well. And then you've got the rest of the gang's pretty much the same, except for the medic. You'll have Ninja Nick rejoining his buddy Grape there on the medical man's spot. Otherwise, it's the same bit. You got Paragon and Ash and the rest of the gang there from last season, although I believe now with a different demo man as well. So we'll see how it all boils out. It should be a pretty decent game. We could have a preview of like those fights for lower level land spots here. And Process is a pretty fun map, so we'll see how it goes down.
Yeah, I'm really interested because this is one of those maps where your demo man really needs to be up to, like, it needs to be ready to be playing this map. This isn't a map where you can just roll out mid and just say, okay, I'm going to get here fast, and that's just all I'm going to worry about. It's more of a map where I think positioning is really rewarded, especially since every single part of this map every single entrance to mid is a choke point. So if your demo man's not ready for that, it's almost game breaking as far as mid fights go. And this is also one of those maps where the spawns are actually ridiculously far from the mid point. So if you get wiped on mid, it's very hard to come back. I wouldn't be surprised to see Woodpig do really well, especially if the demo man on Street Hoops isn't ready for this map. But we'll see what happens. I wouldn't really knock either of these teams. I haven't really heard much of Woodpig, but their names sound really familiar, at least from a MGE mod. I know Grape's really good. I know Mangachu is pretty good. I've heard Ninja Nick's been around for a while, so this should be a good match regardless of the level. Because I know, there's no way that these teams want to lose this match. And I know that this map is relatively new to TF2, so I think there's a lot of things that could happen just from preparedness, let alone individual skill.
Yeah, I mean, this map, for me, you mentioned respawns and mids and things. For me, if we don't see one team just getting plastered at middle, for me, it feels like it comes down to how well you rotate as a group and exploit tiny openings, especially mid to second or second to mid, as the case may be. Because you've got three ways you can go, basically, or at least make them think you're going and apply pressure and sort of shift the defense around. So if you can rotate well with that, I feel like it's a map that really rewards teams that move together quickly. And so we'll see, because I know the rosters got juggled. It's, your start of the season. Some teams do really well right out of the gate, and some of them kind of have to get some glue put on there. But we should be starting basically any minute here. It looks like we got pretty much everybody in there. I think we might be seeing Deadbolt on Demo Man, actually, of the twin pair, maybe, possibly. We'll have to see. I haven't been around. I'm a little unprepared in this case because I had salmonella poisoning, public service announcement, and let me tell you, that's just not good. You never want that in your life. So I haven't been able to think TF2 very much.
It's actually really unfortunate. Let that be a PSC to everybody to check your meat before you eat it. But yeah, this map, I'm kind of interested in how this map plays out because it's one of the maps I don't think was in ESEA when I played. So the mid's almost kind of got a granary feel to it, as well as a little bit of Badlands, I guess, because of these rocks. And I know that there's ways around the map that aren't. There's a lot of ganking available on this map. So if your soldiers or your roamers aren't really prepared, as well as your scouts for the IT or the sewers for the ganks coming on too, there's a lot of backcap potential and there's a lot of medic pick potential. And it's also one of those maps that rewards jumping soldiers because there's a lot of height advantage. I think we'll see a lot of bombing in this map, especially with Uber.
Yeah, especially with Mangetsu on Woodpig. I think that'll be an interesting change for them too, because they tended last season to be a team that really sort of threw their scouts into you and then tried to play off of the chaos of having the guys jumping around all over your face. So Mangetsu, who's traditionally the kind of roamer that just does a really big bomb in and then tries to mess around behind you and get you to turn around and look at him, I think that might be a pretty good addition to their play. And on process, your roamer kind of gets to have his good day with all the ramps and whatnot.
Yeah, well, it'll definitely be something to watch. It looks like the teams are getting ready though, and the match is about to start. So let's do this.
Yeah. So here we go. We're alive. Since it's your first one back, you want to take the first mid here, Flame?
Yeah, it looks like we're gonna have 20B going mid. Their demo man seems to have gotten there first, although actually they're about the same. But 6 years of high school actually got the first sticky off, so that'll be big. It looks like Woopig though has taken the height advantage on this mid, which makes their positioning a little bit better than Street Hoops is. So if you have control of the upper in this area, I think it's a lot more advantageous, especially as the scout. Although it looks like the 20B scouts are doing really well just from a DM perspective, and it's making their mid fight a lot stronger.
Yeah, there was a lot of standing around and waiting, and then Ash kind of went in there and got he was the first pick there, and mid sort of fell apart. Now we're gonna see Street Hoops come out here strong onto the point. 2 players still down for Woodpig. We're gonna test this out, but we'll see the good old-fashioned Uber v Uber stalemate. Actually gonna have Arctic Joe, it looks like, going on to the Engineer, something we saw quite a bit last season. Got pretty popular after not seeing the Builder guy for a while.
Yeah, one thing about this map especially is that the last point is ridiculously close to the spawn. So if you can get off that sentry gun right now, and you really don't have to worry about it, it's more just like a 7th hero in a sense that the other team has to worry about, because worst case scenario, they kill the sentry gun, you go back to spawn, swap your class back to scout or soldier, whatever you were playing. And it's really just like an added bonus, or I think it's more of a detriment to the map how close the spawn is, but regardless of how bad the mid fight went for Woopig, this last point is actually extremely hard to push, especially against a prepared team. So I wouldn't be surprised if this stalemates for quite a while, especially with that kill on Paragon right there.
Yeah, he's switching over to Sniper. Mangetsu does the right thing, tries to go for a quick death. He's actually going to get a little bit of a longer spawn, but not to worry. Paragon's the Sniper man, so he's going to have to walk quite a ways. and then figure out where he wants to snipe from. Looks like we got different little things there. Looks like the cozy camper is equipped, I think, maybe, possibly. And we'll see what he can do. Paragon's pretty good sniper, sort of made his name in the Highlander scene initially, and then just rose straight to invite after only 3 seasons of ESEA, so it turned out pretty good for him.
And one thing I want to note is this is actually something that I think gets overlooked a lot by players or at lower levels or by people spectating, is that Paragon actually went in there, tried to get a pick and died, and then immediately we saw Mangachu go in and suicide, and you might have thought he was just trying to feed or just threw away his life for no reason, but the reason why he did that is actually because if the other team's down one, they're not going to push last, right? And if you're gonna, you might as well try to go for the medic pick on the offensive, from a defensive position, to try to force the medic on the offensive team, because you know for a fact that their spawn's gonna be just about as long as yours, and since you have the advantage on this map of where your spawn is located, you can get back to the fight just as fast as, say, the player that just died, regardless of the fact that he died first. So it was actually, I think we're looking at a pause now. But yeah, that's something that I think a lot of people need to just think about. I don't know. It looks like he went in and died, but it actually was a really smart play because they're not going to push 5v5 without their scout.
Yeah, I'm a tremendous proponent of that tactic. I mean, sometimes you're just not going to be able to. Maybe you've got players that are a little too banged up to just go out there and suicide, or they were going and getting ammo. So if you don't do it within like 4 seconds of the kill, then you're getting a little risky in case they're going to bring a heavy or something. In this case, they wouldn't do that because of the sentry gun, but I'm trying to talk in universals here. And but otherwise, like the worst case scenario, your guy dies and nothing happens. Best case scenario, you wander into a kill, now they're 2 down, you could try and do something with that, or at least try and force them out. Or you could, sometimes the medic is right there, and you just sort of walk right into his face, and he has no choice but to drop or pop.
Yeah, and like I said before, the sentry gun's actually huge on this map, because right now it looks like Rick is down. I think that's Rick.
It's,
or Rich, I don't know who that is, actually.
It's Bape.
Bape is dead,
yeah.
But it doesn't really matter because they have that sentry gun. So worst case scenario, they push in, there's a sentry gun, it's essentially replacing that soldier. You can't really force Uber on this map into a medic because the medic can literally go into spawn. I think it's a problem with this map, but I think it's something that people should be just in their minds thinking about. Like, pushing last on this map is actually ridiculously hard.
Yeah, it's pretty tough.
And we saw how one-sided the mid-fight went after a few seconds and the cap on 2, but we're already taking down from that 10 minutes down to 640. So, I mean, it's been 3 minutes already of just them trying to figure out what to do on this push. Because a well-positioned team is really hard to fight into.
Yeah, I mean, even if you don't go into spawn, you've still got the safety covered up. That's what I like to call the area up top. Looks like there's another pause, but what Street Hoops is trying to do here is you don't want to pop your Uber at the door. They do manage to also blow up that sentry gun, so that knocked out the additional player. And you want to try to get into the medic here, or at least get some kind of position before you pop the Uber, so that you have the best possible Uber fight. The risk that you take here, if it were me and I was, choking victim 3 standing up here, I would want to force my Uber down into these players, because there are 4 blue people on my left side, and if you just pop into them, you're guaranteed shoot the ground damage. Actually, there's 5. I didn't even see Paragon hiding behind his medic. So you got 5 people there that you could just, devastate. You can't flash all of them, and that would lead to a successful defense. But Woodpig's trying to avoid them right now, and that may be their undoing. Because Mangachu's standing there with 98 health, and 5 people directly in front of him. So he might possibly die.
Yeah, it really depends on what this scout does. I don't know how many people do it, but you can always just go in and switch class real quick and switch back to soldier and you won't take any damage. But Meb's also looking at around 23 health right now. And it looks like they keep pausing and unpausing. Not sure what the deal is here, but hopefully they get it sorted out.
Yes, probably a few courtesies. So Oh, well, the Sizer is going to go down. Arctic Joe and Meb are both down, so that's a pretty good start out here. Soldiers throwing each other around, and it looks like we're just going to peace out for 20B in Street Hoops.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to note that their medic didn't even force, so regardless of the fact that they got a few kills, if they don't get the medic, they're not getting the cap.
Yeah,
or
they
did
kind
they?
of
No,
just
they
popped.
did. But
Yeah, they popped
my
Uber,
HUD's a
and
little
then
broken.
Red kind of came down, and also Ubered, and they sort of just stared at each other on the point for a little bit. Oh, Mangachu's gonna get devastated by Sizer, and I hear some kind of a conch item. So that's going to give them a little bit of speed and healing. We'll see if it actually turns into anything. Grape's going to die and Paragon's going to die, so the conch doesn't do it. Sizer's going to die too. Sets 3 down. The conch not very effective here. And hopefully we see a push from Woodpig. Yep, here we go. So ideally Woodpig should be able to snatch this without any trouble whatsoever.
No, yeah, 6 years of high school actually hit some ridiculous pipes during that fight, and it wound up leading to their eventual win. But he just almost killed himself for pretty much no reason. But so we're gonna see Street Hoops go back in for this push, especially now that Demo's dead. Both Ubers are forced, and now we're gonna watch as Sizer takes a majority of it. But yeah, it looks like they're gonna take this point pretty much uncontested.
Yeah, Dingo going down there pretty much was the kiss of death, and it might be the kiss of death on this round, because Ash is dead. We lose Arctic Joe as well, so we kind of got a situation developing here. The point is free right now. Red Soldier standing on it in Mangachu. Medic 2 dancing around on it, but surrounded by blue players. Mangachu's going to go down, and that'll be your first round.
Yeah, Shreeps' decision there to go in, regardless of the fact that second point wasn't capped, was actually really smart. Because if you manner that soldier positioning on last, or let them get ready, it's really hard to push in. So they pretty much went in there and just spammed all their rockets and stickies and tried to do as much damage as they could at the spawn doors just to get them a little bit thrown off, and it wound up working out really well for them.
Yeah, that's how... Oh, well, I'll snatch this mid. There's Soldier flying in high on the left. I was chilling on Deadbolt there to see what he could do, making the switch over to Demo from Scout. Another one of these mids where we kind of just stare at each other for a little bit. Scout is going to go down. Ninja Nick eats a pipe to the face, but I don't think that's going to matter that much. You want to kill Choking Rook to him, which I think quite possibly is Mason. So... he's getting shot up pretty bad by Ash, down to 35, but still alive. He's got that Uber. Wow, we actually lose Dingo in the back. Sizer in behind doing some Sizer-type stuff. And still got the Uber, though, so we'll probably see Woodpig sort of collect themselves and head on to mid.
Yeah, once Ninja Nick went down, they didn't really have much of a choice but to try and suicide on their medic, because if they could get the force in a bad position, they could hold on to mid, but now we're going to have to see them defend without any Uber.
And Meb's actually going to go down straight away. Don't really want to see that, and the Uber's going to get forced, so this... Oh, lots of failed rocket jumps, too. So we're going to see an Uber and a pick given for nothing. 20B's just going to push right back in. If they can get good positioning here, then this is it for Woodpig, and they'll cede Uber advantage.
Yeah, you're really seeing one of the problem. Like I keep saying problems. It's not really a problem. You're gonna see like the design of the map coming into play here. Because what happened was, Street Hoops won despite losing their medic, and even though the Uber advantage was around 70% up, they still couldn't manage to retake mid just because of how easy it is to back up on this map. If you have to force through all of the chokes on this map on this really wide midpoint and then have to back up every single time, it's really easy to get away from a team pushing in. And we're going to see 6 years of high school actually go down here, which is huge, because now we can push in with Ninja Nick has around 20% Uber advantage, and they don't have any demo man to defend last. So I wouldn't be surprised to see both scouts turn back, but it looks like they're satisfied with one as far as getting the cap goes.
Yep, and they're putting time on it. The Uber is going to come out to block it, but Grape's Uber is going to be quite a bit more, which is pretty much something that pleases Grape immeasurably, I'm sure. And going to lose basically a ton of Woodpig. Mangachu trying to defend the point. Soldier v Scout and a demo. There's a demo still alive on red over on this left side. Gonna nail the pipe, so 6 years of high school, and Dingo actually pretty much saves the match.
Oh yeah, that was a very miraculous fight for them, in my opinion. It really good DM by that demo man. He kind of came unchecked. He respawned during the Uber, and nobody really noticed him coming in on the left side because the Ubers were all focused on the right, so he got a lot of damage off, pretty much uncontested, and then that last pipe on Sizer was pretty clutch.
Oh, but the choking victim in Mason's gonna go down to the headshot from Paragon. That's gonna put a kink in the works here, although they do still have a sniper trying to push second, so that can cause problems from time to time, but it looks, well, there's Mangachu, not gonna be able to get a frag. Does beat up on some players a little bit, but not enough. Gonna see the cap go down. Ninja Nick will have sizable Uber advantage, so they should be able to snatch this last, ideally.
You see, it's still going to be rough. They have a heavy and an engineer set up already, and again, this map is really hard to push into regardless. Even last push, I don't think that they even forced, but we'll see what happens here. It's going to take a lot of well-positioned... Oh, well, there goes the sentry, I guess.
Yeah, and the demo's dead as well, so...
Oh, wow.
And there's the heavy, so I think this is pretty much all she wrote.
This is looking like it.
Yep, so that will be your second round of Street Hoops. I think I'll watch, well, let's find it. 6 years of high school. We'll do the traditional caster thing and watch the demos fight. So, a little bit of spam there. Looks like 6 years gets the better end of it. Soldier on him right away. Ash can't nail the final rocket there, so he's just traded for basically nothing. Grape looks like he's about to die as well. Trying to get those heals. Blue's basically backed out. Size is down. That's it. Meb gets obliterated by a deadbolt pipe, but that's pretty much going to be all they get out of that. Mangachu's going to go in as well. Red pressuring early. I'd like to see them get forced away from this. You don't really want the other team to snatch second for free. There we go. So Uber v Uber, one player down in Mangachu. So we'll see if they're going to go. They are.
Yeah, that was a really early force by choking victim. I'm not sure if he needed to pop there, but he did anyways. So now it looks like Street Hoops is going to have a really large advantage for taking this point. They're already down 2 on Street Hoops, but that Uber is nothing to joke with.
Yeah, oh, they're 3 down now. Yeah, I don't like that decision to hold it for so long. They are going to get choking victim. Sizer's going to basically clean up this fight here. We'll see. Yep, no, they stave off the disaster. Actually, no, in goes Bait, and he may be able to clean this one up. No, Dingo's gonna go down as well, and that'll end Bait. But yeah, I don't know. I don't like losing 2 players before you pop Uber. That's they rolled the dice and it turned out okay, but it's playing with fire.
Yeah, it was they actually Ubered Sizer, I think, at the beginning of that fight, just so they could go in and suicide on the medic, so worst case they trade. But I think it wasn't a terrible decision, just because they knew that the Wu-Pig team did not actually have overheals at all. So if you can run in with a 300 health soldier and an overbuff scout, it's still going to be pretty hard to deal with. And as we saw, Sizer actually did a lot of work that mid-fight just because of his heals. He wound up with, I think, 145 health and went on the soldier demo. And the demo, honestly, just couldn't finish him, and the soldier missed a rocket or 2, so he just wound up getting a lot of damage off in that mid-fight. And it paid off.
Indeed. So we'll see the things boil down here. We do have Mason with a bit of advantage, and I do see a spy. He's in spawn in Mangachu, so maybe he was just using the old Metabeam checker script because they saw Ninja Nick went down, but he is running standard Uber, so as you can probably see, because they use fancy plugins. But we'll see. The Uber is actually going to come out. That's so far not so good. I can talk about my rule later, but this isn't what you want when you Uber out of last. So Deadbolt is going to go down, no demo, so that's nice and handy. Ninja Nick's going to go down, so they do manage to do that at least.
Yeah, that was actually really well played for how questionable, I guess not questionable of a play it was, but how horrible the beginning of that Uber seemed. But it wound up paying off for them, I guess. I mean, if they get the medic trade here, and Sizer actually missed a few shots there on that medic and gave them a second chance here, but now they're going to be able to push out with just 3 up and a medic advantage, so it wound up working out for them really well, so hopefully they push out now and try to retake 2.
Yeah, we're gonna see the forward spawns come up on mid, so and equal Ubers as well. So that's probably gonna be the end of it, unless you want to try and make a play on positioning. There is a sniper as well in Paragon again.
They actually have two, unless my HUD is giving me false information. But it looks like
Yeah, I
they're
see
running.
Ash is listed as sniper as well. He is, in fact, a sniper. So, and they're outside of the spawn door, so you got the double sniper defense while ahead by 2.
And he actually winds up cycling back, so back on Soldier. We'll see what happens here. Again, this is a really hard mid-fight to push, and it looks like Ninja Nick is barely going to get that Uber. That was actually really close, and I think timing played a lot there as we see Choking Victim go down, but we're going to see what happens with this mid-fight. I think that Uber timing was actually just enough for them to get this point.
Yeah, well, there's Mangachu down, so we'll see Arctic Joe. Bape is around with 31 health. I'm not sure exactly where he went off to. He's at last getting that health cabinet, so second should go down pretty much straight away. I don't see Ninja Nick being in a tremendous amount of danger, and the sentry gun already going up from Meb, so don't think we'll see any shenanigans going on here. Ninja Nick with sizable Uber advantage. So we'll probably just see a straight up push in. Gonna go with the double util NG heavy. No, Mangachu thinks better of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure if I agree with Whoopig's decision there to push mid. Even it's again one of those maps where you can back up so easily. I don't think they were ready for the sentry gun though, as that took a large majority of their Uber. So we're gonna have to see how that winds up playing into this. Sizer goes down actually, the Arctic Joe, but now it looks like Grape's actually sitting outside their spawn door.
Yeah, Blue's all over the point. We'll see if they're heroics. And it looks like Dingo's going to manage to stave this one off. Lots of kills. I think that was a 3K there for Dingo on Demo Man. So,
Yeah.
Sizer only here.
Yeah, again, they really just don't focus on the demo, or the demo's just playing really well, one or the other. His damage output's been ridiculous in these fights. They actually had no business winning that fight there. But again, they're going to live to see another mid-fight, I guess.
Yeah, Mason actually, he went down really early in that fight. They just focused out the medic. And that's going to give him Uber advantage for this fight. Not a ton. It's dwindling. And this is when you get in the danger where you know that you ought to have Uber advantage because of stuff that happened with Ninja Nick, but you're not going to have it.
And yeah, one thing
never mind.
No. One thing I was going to say is that actually at the beginning of this fight, or at the beginning of this Choking Victim was actually up around 30% Uber, but we're seeing Sizer, or whoever, I think it's Sizer, building Uber right now building Uber with his sword, and he actually evened up the Ubers. So while Choking Victim thought they had an advantage, they didn't actually build as well as they could have, and it actually gave Ninja Nick a lot of time just to catch up on the Ubers. Like small things like that make huge implications for these mid fights, especially if you think you're pushing with advantage and you just aren't, just because of a sheer, I guess, efficiency. But this fight's actually going on really long, and there's a lot of low players, so it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top.
It's pretty much going to come down. Sizer's not able to really back anybody off, so it's going to end up going to Woodpig's favor. They pushed in thinking they had a lot more than they had, and Blue just couldn't hold on. They ended up all congregated on the point itself, and that's actually a really bad position to be in as far as like fighting and holding the point. So Red just kind of pushed in there, grabbed some crate position, and then you're done. And they kited the Uber really well, too.
Yeah, this is actually a huge win for them, just in terms of positioning. I think it's really underestimated how hard it is to retake the midpoint on this map. For them to do that after pushing back from last is actually really impressive. So if I'm 20B right here, I would be thinking, I'd be a little upset at what just happened, because retaking mid for them is also going to be really hard. This is one of those maps where I think having the midpoint, it gives you a lot, because there's not many ways, like pushing into this midpoint is actually ridiculously hard without getting forced early. So we'll see what happens now. It's going to be a stalemate as far as Ubers are concerned, so I wouldn't be surprised to see a suicide from Red, but we'll see what happens here. It looks like Mangachu's going to do just that and just get behind them, but it doesn't really pay off.
Yeah, you gotta try at least. There maybe will be a counter-suicide, doesn't look like it. I think Blue's pushing around in IT just to see if they could catch anybody, but the positioning from Woodpig's a little little too passive for them to do anything with that. So they knew they were one down, so you don't want to be up in anybody's face.
Yeah, positioning's a big part. That was actually a really nice jump by Mangachu. I'm not sure if anyone caught that, but he actually surfed, I think, the ledge and wound up flying legitimately over their entire team. But I think it took him a bit too many rockets to make that efficient, and I don't think he actually knew where they were, but that was something I think that took a lot of individual skill and a lot of practice, I would imagine, just to be able to pull that off.
Yeah, the Z Brian was the first one to show me how to do it, and you basically jump off of the, like, what would be the blue crate from Mangachu, and then you do a skip jump off the ramp as you fly towards it, and that'll pretty much catapult you to the back end of second. He gets frozen there by a scout. That was actually bait trying to fly through that time, but the danger is if there's a scout close there, he's going to freeze you in the air, and then you're just going to crater. They do have the Mangachu Heavy at mid, so it's basically a land match at this point.
Yeah, this is actually ridiculously hard to push into. If I was Street Hoops, I'd be a little frustrated by this. I don't know what the clock is because I can't actually see the server time, but I would imagine it's probably getting close if they're running stuff like this, because this is one of those plays you make in, it's not exactly desperation, but it's something that you just don't want to play against. It forces the enemy team to pop the Uber a lot earlier, and here we see them switching to a sniper just to deal with it. If he gets the headshot, though, it should be a pretty easy fight for them, especially since they'll be down essentially a scout? Yeah, it looks like they'll be down a soldier instead, so you can get rid of that heavy.
Yeah, they do get Meb, but the heavy is still out there. Kind of a shame to see bus parkery in the first half when you're up 2-0. There's actually a sniper. Yeah, there it goes. So there's Mangachu down. You're 2 down here. Probably should see something happen. And the Ubers exchanged and choked. They're just going to stare at each other for a little bit. Now Blue's going to try and buy in, and they're going to go for crate position. But Grape's going to get thrown down by a scout, and Sizer's going to die as well. So the passive mid-hold strat's going to hurt. And Dingo dives the choke, but doesn't actually get a kill. Gets a ton of damage, though. So with 2 down, they should be able to get in here and get on the point.
Yeah, that was actually really surprising for me that Wupig was able to take that fight. I mean, they gave up the heavy. I think they were down a soldier as well, but Ninja Uber didn't seem like they were very coordinated as far as what they wanted to do. It looked like a few of them were in the choke and a bunch of them were behind, not really sure if they should go in. So what happened was all of Blue got stuck in that choke point, and there wasn't really much in terms of damage, despite the fact that they were down 2 players. And now we're seeing that advantage of just having the midpoint come into play. Both teams think that they have Uber advantage, but Ninja looking to push out here, but the Uber call comes out for red, so they think better of it and just back up to last.
Yeah, time to shuffle it off, and we've got Paragon to Sniper already in the defense. I actually really like Sniper on this last point. A lot of lasts I don't particularly care for. This one, it's good, because as long as they know you're there, they've pretty much got a pop, and with rotating working so well on this last, forcing them to pop at the door is basically an instant win.
Yeah, again, it's back to the fact that this map's spawn doors are actually so close to the point that you can get away with pulling off stuff like, you can even snipe from inside the spawn door if you want, and you can't get really punished by it. I'm actually surprised that he's not just doing that, because you can actually see down that right side hallway and that upper hallway just from sitting inside that spawn door, which is, again, I think a huge problem, but snaps in, so it's in. But we'll see what happens here. I think it's gonna be really hard for Wupig to push in here without extreme coordination and preparedness. That sentry gun guarding that engineer is nothing to mess around with.
Yeah, and the Ubers are actually going to be exchanged. Woodpig is 1 down, 2 down now. So Grape finagles himself some kills, 3 down. Grape gets sort of handed 3 kills there. Ash, it was such a dive play, I just said Mangachu on accident. But Ash is going to snatch the medic kill there. So that'll be second, and if they cap this in a timely manner, they are stacking it. That's going to deny Mason and Mangachu the spawns, and it should pretty much beget a mid-cap, unless there's some sort of back cap shenanigans, which Meb is in position for.
control point is being captured.
Yeah, he's gonna force them back. That was actually a ridiculous amount of individual play there from Rape and Ash. I don't know what the thought process was that they were gonna push in and take that fight. Especially just because they were down so many. I mean, if you think about it, they got the Uber off, but they still had a scout, they still had a sniper and an engineer at last. And for them to have pushed out and taken all of those kills, regardless of the fact they were fighting essentially 3v5, it's pretty impressive that their soldiers were able to get so much out of that push. And now we're going to see a 50% Uber advantage on Street Hoops, so I wouldn't be surprised if they go in right now. But again, you're on a clock every time you have Uber advantage. You can't just sit around with it because once they build it, if they build it up, you lose your advantage.
Yeah, the nice side of this mid, it is hard to get in if the team is contesting you. They're gonna lose Paragon, which is unfortunate, but they've still got the Uber. They need to take this in now. No, they're gonna lose Deadbolt. So they use the Uber a little too passively there. As soon as they saw Red group at choke, that's when you want to go have the Uber of your life. But not gonna get it. Not gonna get the middle point either. Meb, basically all scouts and former scouts are down now. You're gonna see Blue come out with the better end of it though, with a 3-kill advantage. And should be Blue taking mid pretty handily here. And you're going to see basically everything reset. Woodpig does have a little bit of advantage, but I don't think it's going to come into play unless something crazy happens.
No, yeah, and this point's again really hard to push into because of just the fact you have to go through one of 2 or 3 chokes. You almost have to suicide a soldier through that choke just to try to force the enemy medic, because pushing into them when they have that high ground on the point, especially with the barrier on the point, is really difficult. So we're going to see Grape go in a little bit behind here on the IT, but I don't think he's going to be able to get much done.
Yeah, he's just trying to maybe catch a peeker, but the only one there is Mega 2. Pretty standard setup to have your roamer go in there. There's the big skip jump, and he's going to go right on the medic. Ash just finds the med wandering off the bridge there in open water. So that's pretty tremendous. Ash just got handed the best jump of his life on process second. It was just an unfortunate, series of events. That's going to lead Ninja Nick in with this Uber from IT. I don't know about this because they basically just gave up Uber for nothing, and gonna see Red try and get back in here. Both soldiers are down on the ground though. Sizer is going to go down, but that's the end of well, Ninja Nick's going to go down as well, but only 2 Woodpig players left alive. And one of them's out here on the point. He's going to kill Ash, but the soldiers too. Here, they're going to fight down on the ground. Who can win? The Ham is out, but he's going to get shotgunned down by Bape. Bape is the last man standing with 3 health, and he's going to go wander his way to mid.
Yeah, he actually wound up underneath the point there, and I think Sizer was trying to kill him, but he couldn't find him at the end of the day, and he wound up coming in and cleaning up really well. They really didn't have much business winning that fight, in my opinion, but it looks like it paid off for them. They actually lost their medic pretty early during that fight, and again, the soldiers behind able to get a lot done, and again, we're going to see another pause.
Yeah, the air raid sirens went off in my head when I saw both soldiers down there on the ground and a scout staring at them from on top of the spire. I was like, well, here's halftime, but it didn't come. Bape manages to come back in and basically clutch the round for his team. So pretty big plays there. The shotgun beats the Ham, and gonna see Red snatching good position out here. Sizer on top of the little rock, basically his mid-fight position. You got Grape behind him, but unless my eyes deceive me, oh well, we got an Ash in IT, but Red looking to have the better position here, I think.
Yeah, Rich White Man Nom's not sure who it is, but he's actually hiding in mid right now, and I'm not sure if Sizer knows he's there, but they're actually almost staring. Sizer's almost staring at him through the wall, so if he can get off a good medic pick or force something here, or get something done from that position, I think it'll be big. And I think something to note from that last fight is that it looked like there was a little bit of a miscommunication between Sizer and Ninja Nick. Sizer actually took the Uber in through that choke and wound up, I think, 1v1ing a scout with a soldier behind him. And I think if they had kept the Uber on Sizer there, they would have won that fight because they would have gotten a double kill with just Sizer. But he actually wound up losing the Uber and took a lot more damage than I think he was ready for.
Yeah,
But again,
the unexpected Uber takeaway.
it looks like Rich White Man Nom's going to throw away the advantage that he had there. He didn't actually have to go in for that push. I think 20B was respecting the red push, but he goes in and suicides on the mid, and it doesn't pay off, and now it looks like they're going to have to back up. Despite.
Yeah, despite what looked to be an advantage, at least to us, Paragon is going to go down. So is Ash. So the second push, Sizer is going to go down too. So the second push doesn't turn out. But a pipe catches Choking Victim. So that's going to be the end of the red medic here. The Uber's going to be forced for Ninja Nick. So pretty crazy turn of events here. Meb's going to go down. Grape's going to go down. So there's a trade out there. Former teammates are they actually?
The control point is being captured.
Yeah, and 6 years of high school is actually doing really well in these fights. He's getting almost untouched. Like, they're almost ignoring him for some reason, and he's getting off ridiculous amounts of damage. They're getting a lot of time on this cap, I think time that they don't actually deserve. But it's all just because of this demo man getting a lot more done than I think he should be. Sizer's actually in behind them, so they're going to have to turn around and deal with him, actually. As we're going to see this 1v1, which he doesn't wind out on top of. I think they just need to calm it down a little bit here, and this map's really stressful though, I know for a fact. Like, you think you have an advantage, you try to push, and then just the map itself puts you at a disadvantage. So again, we're going to see red retake, and the score's still only 2-0 despite this round being around, it's what feels like 10-15 minutes long.
Yep, and Ninja Nick does have the Uber advantage here. I really like this play if they're doing what I think they're doing over on red, which is you try to get the Uber out on second. Mangachu's going to go down. Another player's going to go out in Meb. Paragon's going to die, but it's probably almost worth it. Dingo's going to die out here, so not really worth it. What I saw developing there really excited me, that they knew Ninja Nick had Uber advantage, so you force their Uber when they're on second, fall back and use your respawns. But they kind of just bled their whole team instead, and now Blue has a really good Uber.
Yeah, Ninja Nick actually was playing with fire there for a little while. I think if one of the red scouts had gotten even just half a meat shot off on him, he would have been down. He actually wound up with 26 health and didn't pop. And it paid off for them really well because it forced red into a position where they were down 2 just from trying to pop him, and then they had to pop a little bit earlier than they wanted to on mid. I think they could have backed up, but they didn't fast enough, and what wound up happening was red got their Uber popped and blue just kind of waited. And now we're seeing that positioning advantage. Blue's actually really low. I wouldn't be surprised if they slowed it down here, but their scouts are in really good position. We're going to see Sizer actually clean up a lot of people from behind. And this is one of those times where despite how ahead you are, your health, everyone just needs to get healed real quick. But I wouldn't be surprised to see them turn this into a last push right now. No stopping, just all aboard and everyone go down mid.
Yeah, that's what I'd like to see. It looks like they're going to do that. They do meet a heavy. He's got a bunch of soldiers on him and an Uber, so that's probably going to be it. But the Uber comes out from Choking Victim and aka Mason. So we're going to have a hero Uber here at last. Dingo's actually got a soldier behind him that I don't think he notices. Nobody really still noticing him, and the point is going to go down. So that'll be a 3-0 half to Street Hoops. The round finally ends, and now we get to go to halftime.
Yeah, Ninja Nick actually played out of his mind there. He swapped the Uber I think 3 or 4 times during that last push, and I think he was able to get rid of the damage from I think 3 or 4 rockets that would have otherwise been directs. So shout out to him right there for keeping them alive in that fight, because again, that Uber on red was nothing to underestimate. They almost came and won that fight I think, but I think the switching there from Ninja Nick was enough for them to get through it.
Yeah, some key flashes there. I didn't catch that. I was too busy. My mind was obsessed with the soldier hiding behind the pole that nobody noticed. And he very nearly killed Dingo. And so I got a little excited about that.
No, yeah, I saw the slow scout. And I think, again, this is just my opinion. I think spectating in third person, if you're trying to watch, this is for like a viewer perspective if you're in Source TV or whatever, if you watch from the medic's perspective in third person, you can get a lot of information just from what he's looking at and what he's seeing. You can't always see things from a first person. You don't know what FOV they're using, size monitor, stuff like that. But if you want to see strategy overall as a spectator and try to learn a little bit, I think looking at a medic's position or a medic's perspective, just because they're they're always in the back and they generally have their team in front of them, you can usually spectate around and see what's developing a little bit cleaner from a strategy point of view. Unless you're trying to see the double air shots and the scout frags in first person, which are always good, but just something to pick up on.
It's something I advise when people ask me to mentor them. Woe betide the person that does that. But watching the medic play, even if you're not the med, is pretty nice because it gives you a sense of what fights should feel like, if that makes any sense. Like you after a while of playing, after some time, you start to get a feel, just sort of second nature, where you go into an area and you're like, oh, this doesn't feel right, and you need to change what you're doing, and you can get that pretty quickly by watching from the medic's perspective, especially if it's a good medic. Like they'll start to wander around or back off or hesitate whenever things feel bad, and you can see the results of what happens to their team in moments like that.
Yeah, I think that the skill gap in medic ability is actually a lot larger, I think, than people realize. I mean, you see people aiming really well or just DMing in servers, a Scout Soldier demo, but there's a lot more to medic, I think, than people recognize. I mean, you're pretty much the only class that knows how much health your entire team has at any given point. I mean, all the time you're not going to know, but you see your main priority is noticing. And I think that another small thing is like keeping track of how much ammo your pocket or your scout has at any given time and basing your decision making off that. For example, like if you go in with your soldier and he winds up not, you know for a fact he just shot 2 or 3 rockets, like you pretty much need to dip if he hasn't gotten a kill yet, because he only has 1 left. You're going to be screwed. It's a little bit, there's a lot of small things like that I think are really important, especially, and again, like with scouts too. If your scout goes in, you hear the scout are going to go off 3 or 4 times, like, and you don't get that kill, it's time for you to go find someone else to heal real quick because they're not getting anything done. I mean, it's just small things like that that actually make huge differences in games like this.
Yeah, I'd say the biggest, like, obvious difference between a newer medic and maybe a really experienced one are how they handle coming in and out of choke points. Like, usually an experienced medic will duck out a lot earlier, or at least I'd like to say with a lot more purpose.
Yeah, for sure.
You'll see them duck out a lot sooner, whereas newer medics kind of want to ride the fight out a lot more often and end up dead.
Yeah, and again, that goes back to experience. If you know your team's got the health advantage and the ammo advantage, there's no reason for you not to stick around. But if you're feeling a little helpless at any point, or you know that your soldiers are out of ammo, or that your scouts are low on health, you should... I mean, it's just things like that that actually turn the games. As we're going to see Ash and... I don't know which soldier that was, Mangachu going in with exactly the same jump, almost exactly the same time, and it looks like Street Hoops comes out on top of that engagement. Just that one soldier pick actually allowed them to take the point, and now we're going to see Ash go in behind their team and try to force this medic. But he's been spotted, so if I were him, I'd be getting out. But nope, he's going for the big plays, and yeah, that was really well played by Ninja Nick. They knew that the soldier was there, someone must have called it, and he wound up surfing that rocket and getting away with his Uber.
Yeah, that's Ash actually, like, had he jumped just a little bit sooner when Ninja Nick was walking on that bridge over to the point itself, that was like gold. That's exactly what you want to see when you're the roamer and you jump in there, but it just didn't happen. Trying to navigate this choke, and Paragon's actually going to die off a little bit early here. Meb's going to go down 2. Ubers are exchanged. Red Uber a little bit better here. They're going to manage the positioning, probably force out this choke. Sizer does go down on the periphery, though.
Yeah, Ash is actually in mid right now as a spy, which I'm not sure if this is him just being ill-mannered or if he's going to make a play here, but it'll be interesting to see what comes of this medic. He has a max stab right now. There it is on that med, and just great individual plays there from Ash, actually. Questioning his decision-making there, but a free medic pick and a 50% Uber advantage is nothing to joke around with.
Yeah, it gives you a chance to come back here for this mid, and it's such a random time. I've actually died in the exact same way before, and it's just not a time when you expect the spy to be out like mid on the first round of a half, and it looks like Red's gonna grab this pretty easily. Arctic Joe is gonna spawn. They're not really getting on it very quick, so probably not a bad idea. They're going to decide to stack now, but it doesn't matter that everybody's going to be spawned, so they will have to Uber into basically a full complement.
Yeah, if they can get off, if they can start capping this point or get dominance on the second point here without having to force, I think that they'll just win the round flat out. We'll see what happens though. It was actually really smart of them to retake mid there, even just because the medic was down. They knew that they had the overheals. They knew that Wupig didn't have overheals, so it was definitely worth it. And they actually wind up getting positioning on this point without Uber, but it looks like Wupig should have Uber before the last push comes in. And probably we'll see if they go for the heavy or the NG, and it looks like they're going for the heavy.
Yep, that's the util of choice. And we'll see what they decide to do here. They're probably just going to peek it out and then kill Paragon. Yeah, so there goes Paragon. See if there's a response of any sort. It doesn't look like it. No, actually they're going to just Uber into him. Deadbolt and Sizer down. So you got 3 kills, but you need to get this Uber out of here because of the way respawns work. Is it going to happen? He's going to drop. Ninja Nick's just going to drop. I don't hate that decision from Nick, to be honest, but
I mean, it's one of those where I think it was a little too greedy. Even if they had forced the Uber there with 2 down, I think that they still are able to hold this point. Even if you get an Uber on a scout, an Ubered scout into a team, just to pick off a demo man or a medic is actually, it's really doable. I mean, even if you're going to trade at the end, but now they've given away their midpoint, and I'm not sure what their plan is now for holding. They can't really hold 2, in my opinion, but we'll see how this develops.
They're not going to be able to do this. I don't know about that. Like, I don't know if Nick dropped there out of frustration, because you really...
He was sitting on 19 health for a good second, and he knew the soldier had shotguns left. I mean, it was more of him banking on his strafe versus the soldier's aim, and it wound up really just not paying off. I think that's enough for them to lose this round, actually.
Yeah,
assuming this push comes in well. But again, Sizer on Engineer, they have a sniper that's pretty hard to punish. And the Uber is actually really good right now from choking Victim. He's got the scouts on the soldiers pretty healed up.
Yeah, and then the sentry gun's gonna go down. Scouts on the point, half capped, over capped. There we go. So that will be Woodpig's first round, making it a 3-1. Blue side is best side so far.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those times where you have to think about momentum in their heads. That was actually a really big deal if you're a medic to be dropping an Uber there. It kind of gets in your head a little bit, and especially for Wupig here. They played a really long first half, and I think it's going to feel really good for them to be taking that first point off of Street Hoops here.
We'll see how this mid-fight boils down. So far, both teams kind of just chill on their own crate and stare at each other for a little bit till they see something they like. Both roamers trade over at the same time. Ninja Nick is going to be the first victim there, so that's pretty much should call out the suicide attempts on choking Victim, but looks like he's going to peace out well in advance, and we'll see a replay of one of the earlier rounds unless Red comes up with some sort of magic plan here to grab second before the respawns come out here to defend.
Yeah, one thing I want to point out about that mid-fight actually is who was it? The Demoman, 6 years. Demoman on blue actually wasn't able to get the health pack on mid, whereas Deadbolt was, and it wound up costing them really heavily. It's just something as small as that. The mid health pack was actually denied by the Demoman with a few stickies, and what happened was Deadbolt was able to get the health pack, get him back up to 175, allowing his medic to heal other players. Whereas Choking Victim actually got stuck healing his demo man up to full health just because of that small health pack. And what wound up happening was the scouts and the soldiers got 0 priority there because of how low the demo was. And you saw the outcome there was they all got wiped except for the medic and the demo actually. But now we're actually seeing them play really over aggressive and huge plays from Arctic Joe actually. This should be an easy round for them by the looks of it.
Yeah, that's a whippity wipe there. I was gonna say that they needed, like in my head I was like, come on, go to second, and they did, and it just they were not ready for that. So that's gonna be another round for Woodpig. All of a sudden it's 3-2.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. That was actually insane. That Soldier's scout duo just came in and wreaked havoc. I don't think they were ready for it. Just, you don't expect it. I don't even think they had buffs. I'm not really sure what happened. I was busy watching Choking Victim, but if you're able to get in and do that much work with just 2 heroes, or 2 players, sorry, my Dota, It's actually huge. And there goes the Demo Man, actually, so we might see another easy mid-fight for Boopig. I'm actually really surprised. This is where the game starts getting in your head a little bit. You started off 3-0 in the first half, and now suddenly things are starting to fall apart. You drop an Uber, you wind up getting wiped. I mean, it might not seem like that big a deal. Like, they should be able to hold here. The Ubers are relatively even, but stuff like that, where you wind up feeling like, yeah, here we go.
Grape gets knocked out by a scout, peeking around. His old teammate Meb is the one to do it, but you're gonna lose Dingo. So I don't know if that's necessarily the trade that you're looking for. It turns out better for Grape, really. But he's gonna be back up, positioning Goman in here. Meb is down, so that'll abort the push. I'd like to see Red get going here, and I'd also like to see them not force super early.
Ninja Nick actually held on to Uber again with 49 health, which was, again, really risky, I think, but it wound up paying off again. And Meb actually ran in through the sticky trap, which gave Blue Team a lot of positional advantage. I mean, it's stuff like that that actually does make a big difference. He died, and what happened was a demo debt, so it gave Blue a chance to get on the point, I think, but they chose better of it just because they were down 2. But I think if they had jumped their soldiers, they might have been able to take that point. I'm not really sure, though, but again, we're going to see this stalemate at mid where if you're Street Hoops, you're kind of on your back foot right now. Pushing this midpoint's not easy by any means, and if Woopig takes that 3rd round, it's going to be really hard mentally for Street Hoops to pull back. This is becoming a really nice comeback for Woopig, actually. I'm pretty impressed.
The dive comes in from Mangachu. He's actually going to make it out. He gets air suspended by a scout a few times, but Paragon can't finish him off, so we'll probably see him make another pass here when he gets the health to do so, unless they're going to try something a little meta and do a different suicide.
Yeah, and the frustration is definitely there. I mean, if you see that soldier coming in and he doesn't get punished for plays like this where he's actually going to force here. That was huge. Absolutely ginormous plays here from Mangachu, and he's still alive. He is behind the enemy team right now, almost full health. Forced their Uber ridiculously early. This is actually insane. These are the plays that you want your roamer to be making, and he's actually performing just ridiculously well right now. I wouldn't be surprised to see Arctic Joe and the rest of Woopig here take last pretty much uncontested.
Yeah, he actually gets a kill back there on a scout. So we see a 1v1 here between Arctic Joe. It turns in a couple more players show up, but Dingo's gonna pipe down Sizer and Ash. Pipes to your dome, and
this is actually insane.
That's a tie game.
These are the kind of plays that you want out of any match, even like you don't see plays like that. Mangachu making the play on Ninja Nick there. I don't know what they thought was going to happen, but Ninja Nick caught a little bit out of position, and Mangachu coming up huge for his team there. You gotta love TF2 like this, actually.
Well, actually, Ash went down at the same moment he jumped in, so it was like the Titanic hitting the iceberg. But we're coming into another mid here. Scout's a little banged up. We're going to do that sort of blaze jump and kind of peek over. Deadbolt's going to get devastated by Mangachu.
Massive plays by Mangachu again. The entire red team right now is looking at sub-half health. You don't want to be in this position with 2 scouts and just 1 soldier. Your demo man's down, and you're looking at... This is becoming a ginormous comeback for Woopig. Don't underestimate this push right now. They're demo down, soldier down. The respawns aren't that great on this map, again, because of how far away last is from second. But a huge double air shot from Grape actually winds up stalling this push. I think that they're going to be able to hold now. That was incredible.
Yeah, Grape getting some of the good rockets there. Nice to see. They're actually going to try and force this in. Soldier's going to come over. Ninja Nick's going to be at 19 health and not pop. And they're going to kill Mangachu and Meb at the same time. So, you know, Duke Nukem here on Medic tonight.
And 6 years of he is playing out of his mind. They are gonna hold here. They didn't force Uber. Ninja Nick actually has worse health than Choking Victim, and Choking Victim's gonna push in here, knowing that they're down a Soldier Scout. I mean, if you're 4 versus 2, they still haven't forced the Uber now. But if they take too much damage here, yep, Grape goes down. Ninja Nick should have popped there just to save his soldier, I think. But what wound up happening was he got a little greedy again, and now we're gonna see Woopig make massive plays on mid just because of the fact that the Uber wasn't done a little bit early enough.
Yeah, Grape goes down, Mangachu gets fed a free 3k that never should have happened, and Sizer's gonna die to a Rolio. So that's going to be no more mid and no more second. They are going to manage to get some spawns out of here, but they're going to have to back spawn.
Yeah, that's another thing you have to look at when you're playing as a soldier or medic. If you're the soldier and you're taking too much damage, it doesn't matter if you get the Uber off. Like, medic's health is one thing, but your soldiers and your demos are another thing. If you have to pop to save a player, that's you got to do it. Like, it's one of those things where you really just have to. You saw right there that Wupig was all stuck in the choke. They were all taking the spam damage, and they wanted to keep the Ubers even. But if you trade Ubers and you wind up with less health at the end of the Uber, it's not really worth it. You have to get in there and get it done. And we're gonna see Choking Victim go in here with this Uber, gets off, saves a soldier, and I think it's gonna be a. This is actually looking like a really well played fight right now for Wupig.
Control point is being captured.
Yeah, it's a pretty busted Uber at the start. Got your Grape got thrown forward a little bit, and I think that kind of just threw off their mojo. So we're going to see some trades come out. The sentry gun is going to go down, so rest in peace, 7th player. But we'll see if Grape does anything crazy. No. So we'll see if there's any sort of pressure. Paragon is wandering out to the second point. Soldier diving in as well.
Ninja
They're
Nick actually just held on to Uber again with 31 health. If they had dropped there, that would have been probably game. I'm not really sure if I like Street Hoops' decision here to go through this choke point to try to retake 2, because if they don't get 2 convincingly, and yeah, we're going to see Wupig. They're at 90% Uber. If they can get this Uber off, this will be absolutely huge for the momentum of this push.
The control point is being
And it looks
captured.
like they're going to get it. They can just wait out spawns, or I don't know what they're going to do yet. It looks like they're going to. They're going to try to defend this point, and honestly, it's not that bad of a decision. If you can get the buff scouts on that second point, it's worth it. But again, now the Ubers are around even. Red's taking a little bit more damage than I think they want to, but again, it doesn't matter. If you're Wupig in this position, you're feeling really good. You just push back this team that was up 3-0 on you, and suddenly you're about to retake.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what the
fighting it
clock is
out.
though. That might be a huge implication here though. I'm not aware of what the timer is. It looks like Wupig's almost forcing this fight a little bit too much, but if they can get the point, it's definitely worth it. They're in a they have mid, so there's no point in giving it up.
Yeah, you don't need to panic here because you've got your forward spawns coming in. You don't have a demo. You just need to be careful. But now they're just gonna seed everything. So little nervous there without their high school student, shall we say? They say yoink back. Gonna see. I hear damage coming, but I don't see it.
Yeah, it looks like Mangashu took a few scatterguns shots to the face, but now we're stuck again at this stalemate. Again, I'm really curious what the clock is. It's probably not at 0 or close to 0, but if you're 20B here, you want to finish this round up now. You don't want this to go another... You don't want to give them another choice, but again, it's going to come down to the Uber fight here. Who gets off the better Uber, who splits the heals better, and which team can actually control the mid fight. 20B has to push here. It's not expected of Wupig to push into mid right now. That's always the defender's advantage. You always have the other team pushing into you. If they can force out 20B's Uber early and they can take a convincing fight as a result of it, we could see another push where you just steamroll your way to last. 20B has to be really careful here about their next moves, as we see 5 of them just sitting mid, not really sure of themselves as to what their next move is.
Yeah, in the general rule of thumb in TF2 map design is that the team that holds the middle point has a timer respawn advantage. So it makes natural sense for the team with that timer advantage to be the attacker because they have less to lose, because by the time the points cap, their guy's going to be back. So we see Ash go in and actually get the force. You got 19 health on Choking Victim. They're going to dive for this Uber to come out here. They're directly on top of Ninja Nick. But
Ninja Nick has to keep this entire Uber on Grape though as a result of that fight. This is going to come down to DM, 100% DM and positioning. It doesn't matter if they forced a little bit early, because what wound up happening was that again, we're going to see that problem is that if you have one here or one player that's really low and you have to keep the Uber on them, you almost lose your advantage. It's not about who pops first or who pops last, it's about how much health your team has at the end of that exchange. And it looks like 20B actually came out on top, but they still have... The Ubers are still relatively even. Down 1 scout versus down 1 scout, and they're gonna almost suicide push this last, but again, if they go in without Uber and Ninja Nick goes down, this could blow up.
Yeah, they're under a lot of duress right now. I don't know. It looks like they're gonna pull it back and just do a setup for the long haul. Paragon comes back sniper, so probably not gonna see any really early pushing. Just wait on him to get the job done. Meb gonna try out the sniper. No, we're going over to the engineer. Gonna use the tried and true defense.
Again, this is where the clock comes in. I'm not positive on what time is left, but if this match ends 3-3 right now for Wupig, it's one of those things that you kind of want to bank on. It's going to be really hard for them to push out. You don't want to go down 4-3 here. I don't know if it ends, actually. I think it ends, right? I'm pretty sure. Matches are 3, so if they get this 4th round, it'll be game. But it's going to... You almost want the overtime here if you're Wupig, and I think that's why
Ninja Nick drops to a pipe.
That is huge. That is absolutely huge. But again, I don't know if they can push out. This is a really hard point to push out of, and we're gonna see. Yep, they Ubered a little bit early. If they don't get a lot done with this Uber in terms of kills, then they're gonna be in a position they don't really want to be in.
Paragon goes down. There's somebody on last, which the problem, yeah, they yoinked back 3 players. The problem, and Uber really isn't that bad. The problem I was seeing there was Ninja Nick's going to be vulnerable, but he's still alive, barely. Someone's going to come finish him. Yeah, there you go. So they're going to end up probably sacking 2 for the med. No, Ash is going to make it out. No, he's not, Meb.
Mangachu versus... No, this is huge right here. If they can retake 2 on Wupig, then this game gets really interesting.
Yeah, Scout's trying to run around. We're putting pressure on the point now. A red player in IT, yeah. Sizer's running around behind him now, so I'll have to make a mental note of that because he's here now. He's gonna take out Arctic Joe, and then he's gonna die to the crossbow.
Absolutely ginormous plays there from Choking Victim. Not sure if that was intentional or if he was trying to heal his demo man, but it worked out for him in the end. You almost want to push in on this, but again, you really can't. The clock's going to be ticking, and if you're blue right now, you really just want to be forcing the tie and take this to another mid-fight. It's going to be really hard for them to push in here.
Yeah,
if they can defend, though, it'll be... Again, if they can... This is where 20B is almost in a rough position, too, because if you push this mid-point, if you push the second point and your mid goes down, theirs doesn't, you're looking at another steamroll to last. This is actually really tense right now. I'm really glad that it got to this point and we're not seeing a 5-0 roll or anything.
Yeah, pretty good for the first game of the season. Don't really know what the teams are doing. So, it turns out pretty good. Gonna see the Uber v Uber, probably gonna see our good old-fashioned bombing, but Deadbolt's gonna go down to a sniper. I don't know, normally, demo's dead, you push, but...
No, you definitely push. This map is so spammy. That choke point is 100% spam. If you can get through, that's a huge force by blue here. If they can get out of here with no casualties, it'll be ginormous, because Ninja Nick is not in a position right now. He backed up a little bit late, but if he can get out, it's great. But again, the positional advantage is going to go to blue here, and Wupig's looking huge on this fight.
Yeah, Grape ended up kind of stuck out there in front of his team. We got the other soldier now, and Ash pretty far out, too. Sizer and Paragon both down. It's falling apart for 20B.
Arctic Joe made a lot of damage happen from almost nothing. And we're going to see Ninja Nick go down. Arctic Joe just did a ridiculous amount of work in that fight. I'm not sure if anyone was specking him or what the position was, but he actually got... almost didn't notice him. He got about 4 or 5 meat shots off on that soldier. Got jumped, gave the demo man something to deal with, and now it looks like Wupig's in a really good position for pushing last. 90% Uber versus 0. Their med's just spawning. If they can cap this point and go last, I don't see how Ninja Nick and the rest of Street Hoops defend this point without anything short of a miracle almost.
Yeah, this is really tough to hold. You're not really going to have time for the sentry gun either. Soldier behind, we're going to lose the demo. You never want to see that on your push. But they're just letting us scout.
Huge plays
Nobody
right
was there.
Huge plays from this soldier. I'm not sure who it was. I think it was Rich White Man Noms, but he actually killed the demo man through the spawn door, which is ridiculously hard to do. I mean, it was lucky in a sense, but he got that rocket off, and it really, again, the demo man was down again. He didn't get any stickies off during that fight, or the hold, so small individual plays like that, turning the entire game open for Wupig. And 8 minutes now left. You're on a clock now if you're Street Hoops. If you don't win this fight, you're looking at a really rough game.
Yep, they are going to kill Mason there right at the start of the mid, but then
And they're
gonna
gonna
bleed
wipe
out.
almost. It's just the medic soldier up. If you're Woo Pig here, you're not even you don't even care if you cap last. You have 8 minutes to hold. This map is impossible to push out of. Like, mind you, if we just see really good positioning here from the rest of Choking Victim and Woo Pig, I mean, it's gonna be really hard for them to take. But they do have Uber on red, which is something to note. But holding mid here is gonna be the biggest thing, because you have 8 minutes. If they hold for 8 minutes, it's game over.
Yeah, Woodpig, really good solid play there to be out on the Spire that early. I would have liked to have seen them just sack somebody in, like force Ninja Nick's Uber on second instead of letting him bring it here. But
Big
they're gonna
sticky trap
feed
there on Paragon. Big plays here, and they're taking way too much damage. If you're on 20B right now, you do not want to be in this position. They took so much spam, they didn't pop early, and now it looks like Choking Victim and the rest of Woodpig are just being able to back out unscathed. There's actually a back cap going on right now by a soldier, I would assume, and if they can stop this cap or just delay it, that's enough for them to draw this match out. They have a 50% Uber advantage right now. If they can hold mid, that's great for them.
Yeah, their health is really bad, and they're sort of disjointed. You've got 2 players on mid, and a lot of players on second. But
yeah, that's one of those plays you don't see coming, though. You're not ready for a soldier to be backcapping you. You say to yourself, oh, there's 2 scouts in front of me, we're ready to play, and then suddenly a soldier's behind, and you have to deal with them. And now we're seeing 2 down, soldier scout down for the rest of Street Hoops, and they're going to take this point, it looks like. We're seeing a really huge comeback here by Woopig, and this is not something that you generally get out of a team. Arctic Joe taking down Sizer, 2v4 with Uber on red, mind you, but if they can cap 2, you're in a pinch right now if you're the rest of Street Hoops.
Yeah, you have to push out a blast with this Uber, because if you're Woopig, you have no reason to push it all ever. So you can't let them get Uber. You have to go.
You have, and it's beyond difficult. If Choking Victim's positioning is really good here, and he's gonna get this Uber as long as he doesn't drop here. I'm gonna say that this is Woopig's game to lose. I mean, they 4-3 and coming back from a 0-3. It's almost unheard of in Invite TF2 especially. I think that this is something that they're going to remember, and you're going to feel really good about yourself if you're coming in as a new team or a team that's going through roster troubles and taking down an ex-Invite player and a few others. I mean, this is actually an insane game right now for Woopig, and 20B they can literally run the clock out. They have no pressure to hold this point. There's no reason for them to push last. If I'm them, I'm sitting there saying 6 minutes. It's probably around 5 now. This clock's going to hit 0 before this 8:55. If they hold this next point for the rest of the 5 minutes, they win the game. So we're going to have to see some huge plays. I'm not a fan of this sniper pickup on red right now, but you got to do what you got to do, I guess.
Yeah, I'd have almost gone Spy. Like, yeah, you've got to get a desperate play done quickly. And in my mind, Spy seems to work better for that.
No, for sure. That's actually
doesn't matter.
That's actually true. But again, if you're Woopig here, you're gonna turtle this out. No reason for you to push. 4-3, the win's a win. You don't care how many points you cap. You don't care what the score was at the end of the day. You just want that W, and it looks like they're gonna get it.
Ash is gonna go down. I would wait till like 1 minute. Ash actually did go Spy, so kudos to him for trying.
But Ninja Nick just dropped another Uber. I still don't know if you push here. You probably have to. You should, but that's 3 dropped Ubers, and that's enough for them to win this game. This is GG in my opinion. I'm not sure. We'll see what happens here. No miracles for this team, and yep. Heal versus no heal, demo versus no demo, and suddenly Deadbolt making the plays. My God.
Deadbolt saving the score.
But Mangachu does not care. No respect. Takes out Ninja Nick. Oh my God. That's game. Like, that's actually game. Mangachu just made not a game-saving play. They're ahead. They would have had to throw pretty hard to lose this, but those 2 rockets were enough, and suddenly they're back to square one. The medic dropping is still ginormous, but it looks like Woopig's going to be able to hold this point. There's no reason for them not to be able to. They have the heal advantage. They have the position advantage. 20B's getting a little desperate here and pushing out, but as long as the Woopig medic doesn't go down, which he does, this game just got interesting.
Yeah,
the clock's running down though.
there was Grape had an amazing rocket on a scout.
I don't like the decision there from Mangachu to go for the back cap. That might be game losing. I don't know what to say right now. They're on crits actually on 20B, which is something to take note of. I like that decision as well because they know that they're in a pickle. They don't have time to be building Uber worrying about it. If they can just steamroll through, Mangachu needs the suicide right now and just, there it is, he's dead. They need to get back to last, they need to build 2 sentry guns, almost not sure what the class limits are. I'll assume you can still go double engineer, a single engineer, so then you might want to go back to last here. You don't want to fight into this. 1 crit sticky is enough to ruin, there it is.
And it misses, but the soldier's in behind. There it goes.
There it goes.
And yeah, Med's gonna die too.
The clock's gotta be ticking. I'm not sure what it is right now, but if I'm
you have to go to last.
You do have to go to last, but 6 years of high school takes out Grape actually. The demo down. This is ridiculous. What am I watching right now? I'm not sure what the time is. The time's gotta be close. They are
it's gonna happen.
That's
gonna happen.
This is actually insane. I don't like that decision from Mangachu there to go for the back cap. He could have just fought it out. They would have won that point. It's something that I think that he'll think about later when this game's over. But now we're going to see them with another chance, and the time's up. I mean, it's going to be up soon, so we're going to see another pause and probably go to overtime.
Yeah, it'll be the OT here if we don't see a round end in 2 minutes. This is where I always like to see which team's more swole, because you do have 2 minutes. If you really throw it in here, you can easily get around at a minute 50. But it looks like they're content to just kind of play this the safe way. Look like a bunch of Europeans. Yeah, they're gonna peace out. They're gonna lose Arctic Joe, but no, actually they are diving now.
Choking victims down.
So
this
there
is
we
huge.
go.
They could steamroll this. We'll see what this is. Oh, this is TF2 right now. The nerves got to them. They didn't have to push last there. I don't like their decision. Ninja again. These soldiers, med down on red. That might be enough for them to stall this game out to overtime. I hope it is. If not, they're going to be beating themselves in the face for a little while. It's 2v4-5 right now with no medic though. So hopefully, if this heavy is able to hold this point, which he should be able to, I think we should be going to another round. This is actually insane.
Yeah, there we go. So all the spawns come in. Kind of had 2 mistakes in a row there from Woodpig with the... They just collectively piled out all through the sewer door, and that's just like begging to get flanked through choke by somebody, and that's exactly what happened, and it got decimated. So...
What is this sniper... What is this spy pick on Mangachu? Just go... Yeah, there we go. Back to soldier. Get off that. The Ubers are even-ish, and 20B's on the clock. They know they have time, and if... I'm not sure what's going to happen here.
Yeah, they just decided to go in because of the time. It's going down. The bed's on the point. It's not going to happen. So they're going to hold it. Uber's going to come out.
And that
should stand on the point. Yeah.
That should be the timer.
Maybe?
By the skin of their teeth, there it is. Small mistakes there, costing the game, honestly. I don't like their decision there to go for the back cap on Mangachu. I'm also not sure if I like their decision to even try to push last. Again, this map is really easy to hold last. Uber or not, medic or not even, apparently. It was medic down, but they were still able to hold just from good positioning and cycle spawning. I mean, you come in as scout, switch to pyro, go back to scout. You're back at scout, full health. Nothing they can do. You might as well have been overhealed as long as you don't get bursted down. Yeah, we'll see what happens. If I'm 20B right now, I'm thanking God that hold worked out, but if I'm Woopig, I'm a little nervous now. I had this huge lead, huge momentum, and now it's almost gone. It really is going to come down to who wins this mid fight, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. The last push I can forgive, but the mid of just like collectively not doing anything at mid. Like if you were gonna play it that way, why even go? So it just makes me sad on the inside. I like aggressive team. But yeah, in general, I don't know which seasons you've missed and haven't missed, but this, as far as games that I've personally spectated, this is probably the best comeback I've personally seen since Knee-High's Flow on Cold Front, or well, it'd be Warm Front, but in Season 11 when they were down 3-0 and then came back and won the game in the second half. But yeah, you don't get to see this very often.
Yeah, you don't. This is huge for TF2, especially from a spectator perspective. This isn't something you get to watch a lot. I'm actually, this mid fight's gonna have huge implications. Whichever medic gets out, whichever medic doesn't get out, whichever team has the best heals, whichever Uber gets off best. Ninja Nick has 3 dropped Ubers, which is nothing to ignore. I mean, if you're gonna milk them that long, go all the power to you. But again, we're gonna see the teams come out mid. It looks like the health is a little bit better on Street Hoops right now, but don't let that fool you. DM is going to be a huge point as their entire team actually takes a rocket and or a sticky there.
Yeah, Deadbolt's going to be the first kill, and that, for me personally, just really don't... If you lose your demo that early on, you're going to have a really hard time fighting. They do still have a man advantage, though, to Street Hoops.
Massive plays there from the scouts, just an individual play. I mean, they lost both soldiers, was what wound up happening, so it didn't matter that they had taken down the demo so early. But Ash right there taking down Choking Victim might be enough for Street Hoops to take this win. This was a steamroll. This mid fight, they're gonna have to pull a miracle to hold this last point now. Although there's a really early pop there from Ninja Nick. Didn't want to have to pop there. If they can't get into last now in the next 10 or so seconds, it's gonna be another stalemate.
Control point is being captured.
Yep, although you really... Especially golden, the golden calf round. You really don't want to be on last. This is, I
as we saw though
just
before. I mean, one mistake here is enough for them to get all the way back across the map, and we'll see what happens. But I wouldn't. This is going to be really hard again for them to push. There's a heavy, and there's an engineer setting up. And what do you do against this? You can't really go in and force the Uber. You're going to get denied by the sentry gun. You don't really want to push because, again, we saw what happens. If you get wiped, they take mid. There's no jokes here. I mean, this is a very high tense situation for Wupig. They had this game, in my opinion, won for them, and now they're in this position where they may actually lose.
Yep, the overtime last hold's probably my least favorite thing that I've ever experienced in this game. We are going to see... They're going to go with the same old and have Paragon go
actually
to
going in
Sniper.
right now for a play. I'm not sure if he's going to get... Nope, not going to get away with it. Again, that trade we see where they trade the scout for the soldier, just knowing that the respawn's going to be there, but this is intense.
Yep, so it'll pretty much, for 20B, it pretty much all comes down to Paragon here, unless somebody on Woodpig just feeds a kill for no reason. But actually, yeah, Mangachu was just checking the minigun.
The thing I don't like about the sniper push, though, is that unless you get the kill immediately, you're still playing 5v5 essentially, unless he hits his shots afterwards. The sniper is good in the sense that it gives you a pick, but unless it's on the medic, it's not as advantageous as one might think. You're still playing with the sniper, and there it is.
The demo.
And suddenly, game is blown up. We'll see what happens here. They're going to push off that, but again, it's not easy to push into this. There's still a heavy, there's still an NG. There's still an Uber that they have to worry about. Sentry down, medics are both popped, and suddenly it's 4v5, but the demo's up. Like, he's gonna spawn before this push is over, and suddenly, huge plays by Paragon. He should not be alive right now.
Yeah, Paragon is gonna get caught out by the sticky trap. Fighting over the point, the bait doesn't really work. Red's still kind of holding strong.
They're gonna wipe
here. Yeah. Deadbolt's trying to get the medic, but he's out. That was with a dead demo man.
This is ridiculous. This game is insane. Their demo man was down, but again, the respawn timer on this map, not something to fuck around with. Sorry for my English. You wind up with this point where you should be pushing last. Their demo's down. The sniper got another headshot on the soldier, and they still lost the fight, all because of the fact that you can hold that last point with just an NG. Deadbolt is still dead right now for this mid push. Wupig is in a position where they're up against the sniper on mid. If they can take out this sniper, it's 4v6 mid with heals. Paragon is hitting the shots he needs to hit right now, and it's paying off for them, but Wupig should be in a position to take this midpoint, in my opinion.
Yeah, he really wanted the medic there, but couldn't get him, so Choking Victim, aka Mason, is going to have this Uber. He's gonna force it through. I think they're gonna go ahead and go right now, even before the cap comes out.
They need to. They absolutely need to. This Uber is early. It looks early, but it's really not that bad. They're gonna get everyone through the choke with full health. They're gonna take the point with full health. They still have Uber advantage. Ash is gonna go down actually to rich white man noms, and they're in a position now to hold last, or hold this second point. They're gonna get the cap off, but that's huge. I mean, this game is This is some intense TF2 right now. Both teams in positions to win and both throwing them away essentially. But now we're going to see Choking Victim get gone on. If he can survive this push right now, I think they're in a position to just hold mid. Regardless of the fact that they have Uber advantage, as long as they don't get enough damage on this med to force him before he gets across mid, they shouldn't be in a position to cap it.
Yeah, then Blue really strongly does not want to pop this Uber. Ninja Nick holding it at 39 again. We're in the danger zone.
Mangachu's taking a lot of damage here. Ninja Nick's down to 70 health, which is none of his team is actually overhealed, which is something not to disregard the importance of. They're gonna push through Choke right now, but he's still at around half health. The demo's got this. The medics have Ubers, and we're in another tense situation where you don't want to force here, but someone's going to have to pop first, and someone's going to have to win this fight. This fight could be game deciding. We've seen it time and time again this game, where if you don't push second effectively, and you get wiped, and the other medic survives, you're going to give up mid. And the second you give up mid, and the medic has advantage, you're going to give up too. I mean, this is really intense at this point right now. This might be deciding of who wins this game.
Yeah, they're dipping into IT. Mangachu's gonna get beat up pretty bad, but he's gonna fall back. Still, Grape is in IT, trying to get something going. The IT push really makes me nervous, because it's so easy to just stuff it, or end up with a lot of your players on the ground. But I guess they're trying to do something a little different, since they've relied so heavily on the Ashe suicide.
Yeah, it's going to be... Mangachu's going to have to get... I think he needs to get some heals and just try to make a play here. There's no pressure on Red again. Like I said, it's on 20B now to make the plays and take the point. If you're in Woopig's position right now, your goal is just to hold the point, get your medic off Uber, and keep everyone above full health. You don't want to pull... You want to be in a position where you have to force for yourself. You want to be in a position where your entire team is at 300, 185, 275, whatever it be you, at the end of that fight, because that's what it comes down to. I wouldn't mind right now if they pop through point, but yeah, Ashe is down, and I wouldn't be surprised if you're 20B right now, you need to back up a little bit, but at the same time, Woopig should be able to take this. But if they can get through Choke without holding, without having to force, I think that they'll be in a good position to take the point.
We'll see that respawn come in from Ashe, especially if he does a fast rollout, he'll be here. This is, again, there are so many red players in Choke. If they were in a position to just force in onto that, you'd win. You would have the best Uber of your life. But they managed to just spam them out, the safer option. So we'll see what they can do to press up here. Help. Yeah, it's a little bit in favor of Blue. We do have Mangachu Spy out and about, but I don't think it's
just traded Demo for
play.
Soldier. This is another one of those times where it's going to come down to which medic gets off the better Uber. Demo down is actually huge on this point, but it's not as big as on other points. This map's actually more Soldier favored on second point. The Demo man doesn't really have much to spam. You can get your spam off, but as we're going to see here, Mangachu going Spy forces the medic Uber, and Woopig hasn't actually popped yet. Now they're going to pop. Mangachu's down, and we're looking at, again, an even trade where if Ninja Nick goes down here, it could be big plays.
Yeah, the Soldier made a move to block Ninja Nick in, and he manages to surf himself out to Choke. So, pretty good movement there. We got a demo on Scout on demo. Yeah, the ham comes out.
Ginormous
destroyed.
Scout play there. That might be game deciding. Actually, they're going to be able to take mid and possibly two. There's only a medic up right now with a Scout, but it's 4v5, and the Demo Soldier's still just spawning. If they can get in quick, they should be able to win the spam war. We'll see.
Yeah, they're
Again,
gonna
what
try.
we saw there was that Ninja Nick got forced by the Spy. It didn't matter that Mangachu had to die for it because they couldn't Uber. Even though the demo was down, two 185 overhealed Scouts, it's nothing to mess around. They're not in a good position right now to be defending this point. They should back up here, but we'll see what happens. Ninja Nick is actually stuck in a choke. If he gets gone on here, I'm not sure. Huge plays right now by Woopig. This is insane. They're pushing last right now. They popped Uber. Ninja Nick has it, but Sizer's so low that he has to waste the entire Uber killing him. They trade pops, which is great if you're in Red's position. So, but a little bit too many died there.
Yeah, they're two down. They should be able to work this out, or at least think about it. Ashe is going to go down. So now the question comes in, do you want to throw it in here? Red is backed up. Scouts are on the point, so it looks like the terror is over. It's so... Oh, this is back-capping Soldier.
I don't like
goes
these,
for the same play, but it doesn't
decisions.
work.
But again, two Scouts, they throw them off enough to where... Wow, You don't see that every day. Soldier backcapping, which is first of all something you never expect. It's kind of awful in a sense. But what happened was they all turned around to say, "Oh God, there's someone coming in," and both scouts came in overhealed and just demolished the medic. They're gonna push in now, 80% versus nothing. There's only a demo soldier up. If they can make a play here, we could see the game.
Yeah, the Uber alone should
Massive.
do this.
You think? Yep. We're gonna see. Medba goes down. They're still ahead. This is rough. Paragon down. If they heal this soldier up, I think that's game. Absolutely huge plays there. I didn't agree with the back cap, but it wound up working out for them. What happened was it caused so much confusion that both scouts were able to go through, and we just saw Woodpig seal their deal. That was a massive comeback, and I'm really proud of them actually for being able to stick it in there. Holding that last point, not on that 4v, the 4-4 was huge. That game came down to a lot of just individual skill and plays that you don't normally see, and I think Woopig's going to be really happy with the outcome.
Yeah, and I should note, last season, Street Hoops was a LAN team, so that's as far as ways to start your season off for Woodpig, you got to be happy with that. It was an intense game, and you ended up showing a lot of heart and coming back from a 3-0 deficit.
Yeah, that was insane. I guess that's about it. I'm not sure what else there is to say.
Yeah, if usually sometimes I like to take a peek at the stats. If I can toss you the stats page if you don't have it still open.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, so at the end of the day, the top damage per minute was actually done by the soldier on Street Hoops, which is not something you see every day. This is 280 damage per second, maybe I'm reading this wrong. I'm probably reading this wrong.
It's, our top damager overall for the match was 6 years of high school in Dingo, Woodpig's demo man, which doesn't surprise me. He had a lot of really big plays for Woodpig, and honestly surprised me personally quite a lot. Deadbolt's not that far behind at 280.
Yeah, lots of deaths from both teams. I mean, you see Mangachu with 36 and 52, and you think to yourself, like, he didn't do that much or he didn't do well, but he made a ridiculous amount of good plays on that roamer position. Another thing to note is that the Uber charges were actually 34 to 27 with 3 drops on Ninja Nick. That probably was a huge thing, or a huge point in this game that Choking Victim actually played out of his mind. I mean, no drops. You very rarely saw him toggle with it or just play around with it. And in the end of the day, it really showed how well, I guess, that they prepared for this map as well as this team. I mean, the Street Hoops team, they just came back from LAN around, 2 or 3 weeks ago. You see them coming in with new Sizer. Sizer's not new to the game. He's been playing since beta. I mean, been around Invite, EG, everything. Actually, my last scout partner, and he did really well. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to those individual plays, and Mangachu forced a ridiculous amount of Ubers, and Choking Victim had really good splits on his pushes. I'm really proud of them, actually, for getting all that done. You don't see many 3-0 comebacks, and especially after they gave up that 4th round, you thought to yourself, like, oh god, it was 4-3, now it's 4-4. The momentum kind of shifts, and then they were actually able to push all the way out from less, and yep, that's it's a rarity in this game.
Yeah, these are things that please me. So I'll bring up one more statistic while we're at it. If you peek your eyes onto the frags in this game, you'll see that Woodpig actually had 2 fewer frags. It was 191 to 193.
Yeah, again, it's like every other game. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day who gets more kills or who has more deaths. It was actually ridiculously close. 193 to 191, 194. The stats were pretty much even across the board. It just really comes down to those holds. You make big plays when you're not supposed to. There was a point in time where I thought, oh, Woodpig has this game in the bag, they won, and then suddenly you see them go to overtime. And then there was a point before overtime where you saw Street Hoops say, oh, they have this game in the bag, and then they didn't finish the job. So I mean, it's really a testament to just the players themselves as far as getting that, at the end of the day, like, keeping the clutch positioning and the clutch plays and the clutch, like, just the decision making and the frags. You don't see many Uber drops in Invite. You don't see many forces. You don't see many 1v5 holds. The demo men played out of their minds this game. It was it was a game for the record books, if in my opinion, as far as what to watch if you're trying to figure out how to get through this map this week, because this is not an easy map by any means to be playing.
Yeah, and it's still kind of fresh. It's not like Badlands where like literally everyone who's ever played 6v6 knows the routine.
Yeah, for sure.
So, well, since you're new around these parts for TFTV, I guess so far I'll give you any time you want to address the audience if you would like, shout outs, etc.
No, I mean, I'm good.
Pontificate
I mean,
about
shout
Dota.
out to Froyotech and the rest of them and everyone in that Mumble and everyone that went to TI with me this weekend and everyone watching. If I did anything wrong or just like you have any problems with my casting or anything, just make a thread about it and flame me, I guess. But I had a good time. This was actually more intriguing. Like, I thought this would be boring for a second, but this game was ridiculously good, and you don't get that very often in TF2. I think this will be a game that will go down as one of the better games this season, even though it's the first game of the season.
Yeah, in hindsight, kind of a shame that it's the first game of the season, but it's definitely a step in the right direction. It's a good first step.
For sure.
But that said, shout out to Undercooked Eggs for almost killing me, and yeah, and Woodpig, and of course all the viewers, and Street Hoops, and also our lovely cameraman in Truck, the hero of TF2, and
Just very well played to Woodpig. At the end of the day, I mean, shout out to them. That was really good TF2. Not many teams are able to ever come back from a 3-0. It gets in your head, you're down, you say to yourself, I'm not winning the 1v1s. What are we doing wrong? What are we doing wrong? And this game is just about as mental as it is physical. You see the aim, you see the gameplay, you see the double air shots, but at the end of the day, if you can battle back from a 3-0 deficit, that's a huge testament to your team and your ability to not throw in the towel. I think that the cohesion on that team will only get better. Not sure where it is right now, but after a win like that, you start seeing a lot of positives in your gameplay and your decision making, and stuff like that actually leads to a good season. So I'm really excited to see them for the rest of the season. Not sure where they're going to wind up, but after a game like that, you got to be feeling good.
Mm-hmm. Well, from me and everyone else over here on the TOTV side, thanks for watching and have a good night.
Yep.